be answered the same way. Thanks for watching. Banfield starts now.
The show. Good to have you here on Friday night. It's been busy. I kind of feel like I'm super scattered. I'm sorry I look a bit of a mess, but really busy. Lots happening. Let me just get you up to speed here. So we got 6 months until P. Diddy's going on trial, right? In the meantime, there's a lot that can happen between then and now to him and to other people who might be involved with him. There's a lot of big names that are circling around, loads of rumors, specifically about people who mentored under P. Diddy, like Justin Bieber and Usher. These were kids, right? Young teenage kids who were schooled by Diddy. And so the internet is on fire with Justin Bieber. Is he part of it? Was he abused? Oh my God, what's his story, right? There's a source who's talking about Justin Bieber tonight. Justin Bieber's not talking. But there are some questions that need to be answered. Excuse me. I'm still sick, everyone. I'm so sorry. We're like 2 weeks into this, so bear with me. In any case, there's also another big story that's kind of adjacent. You know, up through the cone of the P. Diddy federal investigation, we started to refer to R. Kelly, right? Did the feds use the R. Kelly indictment, prosecution, and then incarceration of R. Kelly as a blueprint to go forward with P. Diddy? Because guess what? There is a big new development in the R. Kelly story, too. That's his daughter on the left. And she has come out with some walloping allegations about him abusing her as well. You heard right. R. Kelly's daughter, all these years later, coming out and saying her father abused her, too. I'm going to talk with R. Kelly's attorney on this program about that. Also, if you lived through Menendez back in the 90s, you just watched Dan Abramson' hour-long special, which was really good. If you lived through it, you would be hard-pressed not to know who Leslie Abramson is, okay? I remember it well. I lived that trial. I lived that woman. And I remember how people talked about her. What did they say? Oh, brash, tough, inappropriate, ballbuster, all sorts of names, right? When in reality, what she really was an incredible lawyer, period. Really good lawyer. But as an itty-bitty woman with a massive personality, that's not how they were received in the 90s. I was there. And so tonight we're looking at Leslie at age 81, on camera and talking about this case. I'm going to show you that moment, tell you what she said, show you what she said, talk a little bit about whether Leslie, because she was who she was, would probably be celebrated big time today. Was she one of the reasons why they lost the case? That's coming up as well. And then also, by the way, I want you to just take a quick peek at something. Just take a look at a little bit of the tape of Leslie. I'm going to play the rest of it later in the show, but have a look.
Have you seen the documentary, Leslie?
No.
You haven't
documentary?
I mean, no, in the series on Netflix. Have you seen
that I heard about?
That's Leslie now. Wow. What a difference. Anyway, you're going to hear the whole back and forth with her and the interviewer a little later on in the program. And then also, if you've heard about Suzanne Simpson, she is a Texas mom of 4 who kind of just went, like, vanished on a Sunday night after a very fancy party at a country club. After the fancy party at the country club, neighbors heard her and her husband having a big fight in their backyard. And then suddenly, nobody sees Suzanne Simpson again. But you can see by the jumpsuit that the husband was arrested, right? Just he wasn't arrested for her disappearance. Instead, he's arrested for, like, domestic violence and unlawful restraint. But guess how much they are holding him on bail? Just guess how much the bail is. I think that's going to be a big indicator about this story. That's all coming straight ahead. But let's start here. It's really great to have friends in high places. Until the friends get toppled from those high places and then horrible stories start pouring out. And then it's a real problem if those stories, factual or not, include you. 2 superstars are dealing with that problem right now. Justin Bieber and Usher. Both of these superstars owe at least some of their fame and their success to an older and famous friend and mentor that they knew in their formative years, and whom I'm guessing they would probably prefer to forget. Though he goes by many names like Puff Daddy and Puffy, his most recent one is Diddy, as in Sean Diddy Combs. And the 3.5 weeks since Diddy was dragged out of a Manhattan hotel in handcuffs, and since that scorching indictment was made public, the questions and the rumors and the headlines have multiplied about Diddy's alleged freak-offs and who else was in those sweaty, oily rooms. We know at least one sex tape with a male celebrity, apparently even more famous than Diddy, is being shopped around. But was that person a consenting adult? Was that person a victim? Was that A-list celebrity even an adult? It's led to a lot of speculation. And there's a reason. I mean, look at all these headlines. Real reason Usher was sent to live with Diddy at just 15. Usher saw very curious things taking place at Diddy's New York mansion. Usher raises eyebrows as his X account appears to be wiped clean after Diddy's sex crimes arrest. I mean, those are really big headlines. So it's led to a lot of speculation. Usher was living with Diddy for a whole year when he was just 13. And it gets worse, too, because he attended something that was called the Puffy Flavor Camp. And he talked about it on the Oprah Winfrey Network and the Howard Stern Show back in 2017. Have a look.
I was 13 years old, and being 13, having that type of exposure, it was cool to go to Howard Homecoming with Puff. It was great to be able to go to Club USA or the Supper Club, with Puffy in that time, or the Tunnel. But these are places that a 13-year-old probably should not be. Most kids are trying to figure out, how to be around, hot girls, pretty girls. I'm around grown women, and I'm seeing them do things and have experiences that I'm not quite ready for.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
That's telling, isn't it? Justin Bieber was another teenager in P. Diddy's circle. He was signed to Usher's record label at the tender age of 14, and then at 15, he spent 48 hours in a row with Sean Diddy Combs, and some of those interactions have started to resurface as well.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. As soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, it's gonna be yours. What you wanna do? What you wanna do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang with some girls.
A man after my heart. That's what I'm talking about, kid.
All right, young brother, everything's good? Selling out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple of years, and Justin Bieber is keeping very, very quiet right now about P. Diddy's colossal problems. But we think we might know what he's thinking. There is a source telling Us Weekly that Bieber is, quote, completely disgusted, end quote, by the things that his one-time mentor is alleged to have done. And the source says this: Justin is in a hard place mentally right now. He has such a history with Diddy, and the allegations against him have been hard to process. Furthermore, and this might surprise exactly nobody, The quote goes on to say, Justin has been advised to stay as far away as possible from anything and everything related to Diddy. I'm joined now by Tony Bruschi, host of the podcast Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Good to have you, Tony. Thanks for being on this Friday night. So, look, there is a lot, right? There's just a lot in the rumor mill involving Justin Bieber and Usher as well. Can you just sort a little bit of fact from fiction as we know at this point?
Mm-hmm. Well, we got to take a look at, because we're wondering, who could this be in this tape? Who's involved? There's a lot of interesting information that was put out by the Post last week that spoke about giving a lot of clues as to who that individual might be. We've talked about it being possibly Usher from back in those days. The thing is, the timeline doesn't really line up. It would have been 94, 95, and Diddy wasn't the Diddy that we know today as being an individual like that. If you go back about 10 years or so, that would also put us in a timeline where Justin Bieber was younger and coming up. That article in the Post describes the individual as younger than Diddy, and also, like you said, questionable at the time of the age the video was made. It also goes on to mention that the individual feels horrible and almost as if they're being victimized again and wants nothing to do with that person. Sound like anyone to you?
So, yeah, and I'll tell you what, every time I see his videos, hear his songs, I just kind of have this little heartbreak going on because no matter what, he was way too young to be hanging out with people who say it's time to go get girls. Just no matter whether that was happening or not, just that whole notion, it just didn't feel right at all, clearly. I want to ask you this, though. Where is Justin Bieber at now? Like, is he touring? I know he's married to Hailey Baldwin. They recently put out on his Instagram, the birth of a child, a boy. And he's very religious. His posts on Instagram are very religious. What's his situation right now?
What we know, I think what we can glean from some of the posts is that he's probably trying to find himself and probably trying to find some peace. Friends of his that have made statements saying that he is very much into being a dad right now, and something to the effect of being a dad far outweighs any of the stress that comes along with the Diddy stories that are coming to life. So I think he's trying to keep himself in a good place for the sake of his kid and for his own sanity as well. He's not going to be in control of anything that comes out here in the future. But when we look back on it, I think he's realizing kind of the victim that he was through all of this. And I think the public needs to have some grace on him, too, as more of this information comes out. Hopefully it is something where he can just walk away and go, I want to put that on my path.
And again, we want to be super clear. We're just seeing some of his Instagram pictures. We want to be super clear when we say victim. We don't know at all if he was sexually assaulted at all in all of this. We don't know if Diddy is guilty of those crimes. All we know is that he was, without question, in his presence, making those videos saying it's time to go get some girls about things we can't talk about. And that's just on video, and that's fact. So, Tony Bruschi, good to have you. Thank you for this. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend, sir. Tonight, we also have this other bombshell from the music world, a woman named Buku Abi, a.k.a. Joanne Kelly. She's claiming that her famous, shall I say infamous, father, R. Kelly, sexually abused her, too, when she was just 8 or 9 years old. Abi made the allegation in a new documentary called R. Kelly's Karma, A Daughter's Journey. Take a look.
I didn't know that even if he was a bad person, that he would do something to me. I really feel like that 1 millisecond completely just changed my whole life.
R. Kelly was convicted in 2021 of racketeering and sex trafficking, and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. And then in 2022, he was convicted of child pornography and enticing minors for sex and sentenced to another 20 years. Just this week, the Supreme Court refused to hear his appeal of that conviction. I am joined now by R. Kelly's attorney, Jennifer Bonjean. Jennifer, thanks so much for being on. I so appreciate this. What is R. Kelly's response to this blockbuster allegation from his daughter?
Mr. Kelly vehemently denies the allegations. These are frankly not really new allegations. His ex-wife made A similar allegation, 15 or 20 years ago, the allegation was investigated by the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services. He was under criminal investigation at the time. He's probably the most highly investigated individual on the planet when it comes to these types of claims. And the Illinois Department of Family, the DCFS, determined that the allegation was unfounded many years ago. Why it's coming back up, I don't really know the circumstances, but he certainly denies it, and it's our position that if there was any merit to the claims, certainly charges would have been brought. I can assure you prosecutors would have loved to put his daughter on the stand to accuse him in the many prosecutions they indicted him for.
So, Jennifer, I want to give the benefit of the doubt to him. I want to give the benefit of the doubt to her as well. But when you look at the clip in that documentary, she's in tears. And I'm just wondering if you or your client think that she's acting.
It's not how it works, Ashleigh. There is not only incredible data around false allegations, my own personal 25 years of experience, but also scholarly articles. And we know that sometimes people come to believe things based on having distorted and contaminated memories, particularly children, and this can be done by their mothers. I mean, this is not junk science. This stuff exists. I don't know what her motivation is. I don't know what's going through her brain. What I can tell you is that Mr. Kelly, again, denies the allegation. And, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office back in 2019 literally set up a hotline after the Surviving R. Kelly series came out. And anybody could call with an allegation against Mr. Kelly and have their allegation investigated. And what we learned is that people did not always tell the truth when they called. Not every allegation had merit. And so just because someone says it's true and people cry does not necessarily mean it has merit. Okay. Again, I'm not making specific. I don't know what her motivations are. But just because someone cries, I don't think you can assume they're telling the truth or that they remember accurately.
And I think it's a fair statement. I do want to ask you this, though. It is a very damning statement against a father, and I can only imagine if he's innocent of this, he would be not only devastated but angry. Is there any plan to file a defamation case against her on the part of your client?
He is very upset. He's angry, but of course he loves his children. I mean, we haven't decided what legal action we would take in response to this, but it's not really a conversation. He's mourning right now. And again, he is someone who has been investigated over and over and over again. And we have to pause and wonder, it's not as if, again, this is really a new allegation. And if there was merit to it, why wasn't he prosecuted for it?
Is it on the table? Is a defamation case on the table? Is it something you're discussing with R. Kelly?
I just answered that question. And what I said is I have not spoken to him about what response we will have. So I don't know what you mean by on the table. I don't take actions without speaking to my clients. So I can't answer that question.
That was my question. No, that was my question. Have you spoken with him about that? Because you said you haven't decided on a course of action, and that's why I said, have you spoken to him about this? Is it possible?
We haven't spoken about the legal consequences of the allegation.
Okay, it makes sense. Well, let's catch up again on this. When you've had a chance to speak with your client, I'd like to know, if you're able to, share with us. I'd like to know what his next plan is with regard to all of this. Thanks so much, Jennifer. It's good to see you tonight. I appreciate this.
Sure.
Jennifer Bonjean, R. Kelly's attorney, joining us live tonight. I'm going to switch gears here. A name and a face that will forever be linked with the Menendez brothers has been virtually out of sight since their trials ended decades ago. Leslie Abramson was a lead attorney on the case back in the day. She's no longer practicing law, but she is still around. And shockingly, she spoke publicly when cameras caught up with her recently.
You're not watching any of it, Leslie?
No, I didn't watch the last series, and I don't watch any of the shows about it.
She had a lot more to say about this, so one mystery solved. Leslie Abramson has not mellowed with age, but was she right all along? And did the brothers pay the price for a tough-as-nails female lawyer who maybe the male jurors may not have liked? That's next. In the early 90s, you would have been hard-pressed to find courts and juries who cared a lick about men who claimed that they were victims of sexual assault. And they certainly did not want to hear it from an assertive, brash, tough-as-nails,